It's go time, all you Hollywood Studios fans. So which ride is the best ride that Studios has to offer? We are finding out the truth during another nail-biting, high-stakes DFB Best Ride Tournament. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. We are back into the brackets. This time we're pitting Hollywood Studios rides against one another for the ultimate single elimination competition. If you've watched our other Disney World ride bracket videos out now, then you probably already know how things are going to work today, but just as a quick recap for anyone who needs one. First, the game component of this video is a ton of fun, but our main objective here is to show you the pros and cons for each Hollywood Studios ride, so you know what to expect before you go, which ones to prioritize, etc. And 2, we'll be determining who wins each round based on 3 specific categories. How well does the ride tell a story? How hard does the Imagineering go? And how does it factor into Hollywood Studios being a must-do vacation destination? No biases here. We've got our DFB team members duking it out behind the scenes to figure out which rides move forward in the competition. So even though I might have chosen a different winner or two for a couple of these rounds, it's majority rule around here where only the strongest arguments survive. I think that's the perfect segue for round 1, so let's go. First matchup, Star Tours versus Alien Swirling Saucers. Now, because Hollywood Studios is mostly made up of A-tier rides, round 1 is just going to be dedicated to the 2 B-tier rides at the park, which are still good rides. They're just not rides that get quite as much popularity as literally everything else in the park. Bless their hearts. So, who's winning round 1? Let me give you a play-by-play. Alien Swirling Saucers is a colorful flat ride based around those cute little squeaky green guys from all 4 Toy Story films. You board one of their ships and they fling you around while you listen to a techno-spacey version of one of the popular Toy Story songs. This is basically the same ride as Baymax Happy Ride over in Tokyo Disneyland and Tow Mater's ride over in Disney California Adventure. It's straightforward, kids will love it, and ironically enough, even though swirling is in the name, the spinning of this ride might not make you as motion sick as Star Tours, considering Star Tours is a screen-based ride that jostles you around quite a bit, like those old ones that they used to have in the malls. You remember those? Yeah. That being said, Star Tours doesn't just tell one story. It tells a lot of stories. There are hundreds of possible ways that your Star Tours journey could play out, thanks to the abundance of randomized settings and characters. Having the same ride through twice is like getting struck by lightning. It's very, very rare, making every story uniquely yours and making the re-rideability during your Hollywood Studios day a little more enticing. Plus, you might be the rebel spy, which of course is a reason to ride it over and over again, right? So green alien dudes, you gave it your best shot, but you're just not as exciting as a Star Tours ride that literally changes every single time you ride it. Winner, Star Tours. Speaking of exciting things, I've got exciting free gifts for you guys. Scan the QR code you see on the screen right now or head over to disneyfoodblog.com/Hollywood Studios and you can pick up that free Hollywood Studios quick guide. It's going to give you a speedy overview of what's new on the scene, example park itineraries, a full list of rides, as well as their location and height requirements and average wait times, and more. Okay, on to round 2. See, I told you round 1 would be really fast. Now it's time for some of the big boys. Rise of the Resistance versus Star Tours. This is a colorful pair-off because I know some of y'all out there are going to feel very passionate about the results of this round. Rise of the Resistance opened back in 2019, really took the park by storm. It still does. From its animatronics to its multiple immersive pre-shows, to that trackless technology, to the thrills and larger-than-life sets, to all those cute droid sounds, to the story that gets you wrapped up in part of the battle from the get-go. Rise of the Resistance is nothing short of jaw-dropping. Still, now, even after 6 years. Meanwhile, Star Tours continues to stand out within a sea of updated Star Wars attractions. Star Tours opened in MGM back in 1989, but Disney Imagineers have done an upstanding job of keeping it relevant. Unlike Rise of the Resistance, Star Tours has the capacity to continue evolving when new Star Wars shows and movies are released, making sure that any type of Star Wars fan is able to experience the storylines they love the most. Because even when they introduce new storylines, they'll run those a little bit more than the other storylines, so you're more likely, for example, to get Mando and Grogu when they add those than you would be after they've been around for a while. So very handy that they can literally kind of change how often certain combinations of characters run. So yes, it is a worthy opponent for Rise, for sure. But when it comes to showing off Disney Imagineering and progress at its finest, and when it comes to which ride guests are for sure going to make a priority during their next Hollywood Studios visit, Rise of the Resistance manages to claim the victory this time. Winner, Rise. Sunset Boulevard is throwing both of its biggest competitors into the ring to guarantee that one moves on to the semifinals, even if it means one has to be left behind. Tower of Terror versus Rock and Roller Coaster. Now the question is, which ride is moving on and which is going to have to take one for the team? Both Rock and Roller Coaster in its current form and Tower of Terror in its possibly forever form treat each guest as an important component of that unfolding story. During Rock and Roller Coaster, the Aerosmith band is running late for their concert, but because they don't want to leave you behind high and dry, they're going to give you backstage passes and a really fast, super stretch limo so you can make it to the event on time. We're talking a really fast limo, like 0 to 60 miles per hour in just a couple of seconds fast. But during Tower of Terror, you'll be invited, if you dare, to enter into a cursed elevator that transports you back to a gloomy Halloween night at the Hollywood Tower Hotel circa 1939. This is the evening where tragedy struck the hotel tower, condemning its guests to an eternity trapped inside another dimension. Thanks, Disney, for yet another magical moment. Now, one ride has exciting vibes, the other has unsettling vibes, but neither storytelling method necessarily beats out the other. It's just a matter of which type of adrenaline hit you prefer, the happy kind or the terrifying kind. Imagineering-wise, Rock and Roller Coaster does a decent job at making this indoor coaster different from other indoor coasters out there, but you're not going to find another drop tower like this one at Hollywood Studios, not even at the other Disney parks that also have versions of Tower of Terror. Uniquely, Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios has the ability to lift your elevator out of the shaft, moving it across a track and then transporting you to another elevator shaft where the actual ride drops will commence. They don't do that anywhere else. So who knows, maybe once Rock and Roller Coaster has Muppets, which it will because it's getting completely rethemed, it might give Tower of Terror more of a run for its money. But for now, Tower wins this round for its unique Imagineering, iconic thrills, all of those Easter eggs, the fact that I still have dreams about sleeping in Tower of Terror as a hotel. I hope I can do that someday. We'll see. But anyway, it is a must-see ride for thousands of guests each day, and it's a must-see ride for us. Winner, Tower of Terror. So these two rides could not be more different from one another. It's Slinky Dog Dash versus Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. One is a colorful family coaster where you're shrunk down to the size of a toy and given the chance to ride around Andy's backyard via a stretchy, springy pup. And the other hands you a vital job aboard the Millennium Falcon and expects you to fulfill said job to the best of your ability, even if you're like 5, in order to collect vials of coaxium for a slightly sketchy space dude named Hondo Anaka. Obviously, Smuggler's Run wins when it comes to the storytelling category, since there's not really a whole lot of storytelling going on over at Slinky Dog Dash, beyond becoming a toy and riding a fun ride. Now, I get it. The design of the ride is very cool, and there's so many hidden gems in all of Slinky Dog's kind of construction. So don't come for me in the comments. I know that there's Imagineering there, but I think hopefully we can all agree that Smugglers does win with storytelling. And there's no denying that Smugglers could technically win the Imagineering category too, due to how incredibly immersive it is. After all, how well you do your job on board this ship does change the way the ride is played out. That being said, Slinky Dog's throwing a Hail Mary here just to see if it can snag the win out from under Millennium Falcon's nose. Sure, the storytelling stakes aren't quite as high over in Slinky's neck of the woods, but that doesn't mean the Imagineering is by any means lacking. When you take a ride on board Smugglers, it's like you're playing a fun, albeit short, video game. But when you ride on Slinky, you're not just going to have a chance to appreciate the surrounding Toy Story themed sets placed around the coaster tracks, but you're also going to experience some really unique aerial views of Toy Story Land as a whole. Slinky Dog Dash shows off Disney Imagineers' love for forced perspective. You look down below while you're riding this coaster and the land truly looks like a bunch of toy play sets all put together inside a suburban backyard. From the games to the characters to Andy's big old footprints. But once you're off the ride, everything's larger than life again, placing you in the shoes of a real live actual toy. Slinky Dog Dash is a priority ride for many families. It's not only a fun starter coaster for smaller kids, but it's also a good one for coaster fans and the more hesitant coaster riders alike because it's so smooth. There are thrills all around the track like bunny hills and small launches, but nothing is ever too over the top. So I know this is going to upset a lot of people out there right now, but the win for this one goes to Slinky Dog. It's one of the hardest rides to get on, and it's just one of the most popular rides in the park. There you go. So this is a matchup between 3D technology and 2.5D technology. When I say this was a close call on the DFB teams, and I mean it, there were strong arguments in favor of both of these rides moving on to the semifinals. We've got Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway versus Toy Story Mania. Now, Toy Story Mania, another ride over in Toy Story Land, is a blaster attraction where you'll compete with other members in your vehicle to earn the highest score amongst your group. You're going to do this through a series of carnival-style games like ring tossing, balloon popping, plate breaking, and more, but of course, it's all 3D and digital. There's quite a bit of strategy going on with Toy Story Mania. The re-rideability for this attraction is a whole lot more appealing than it is with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. You basically get the gist of Runaway Railway after the first go-round, but when it comes to Toy Story Mania, you get to keep on improving your aim and using sneaky point building strategies and proving yourself worthy to wear this shirt from the DFB store website over and over again. Not to mention, Toy Story Mania has one of the coolest Disney World queues, hands down. From a storytelling POV, however, there's not much to chew on with Toy Story Mania. That's okay, it's a blaster ride. It doesn't really need this in-depth story to go along with it, just needs to give you an ultimate goal, to win. That being said, Runaway Railway does have a fun story. You start off in the real world, and after a rather goofy incident happens during the pre-show, you're transported into the cartoon realm. Through the use of trackless and 2.5D technology, which is basically 3D components added to 2D cartoons without the use of 3D glasses, Imagineers really hit it out of the park with this one. And yes, we are still salty about Runaway Railway replacing Great Movie Ride, but the fact that we're willing to forgive it just shows how good of a ride Runaway Railway is. And here's the real kicker. Runaway Railway is iconic for being the first ever Disney ride to feature Mickey Mouse as the main character. Yeah, I know, it's wild that the parks that all started with a mouse only got around to making a ride about said mouse by 2020. Better late than never, I guess. Now, Toy Story Mania is a ride you're not going to want to miss, but skipping it wouldn't be nearly as tragic as skipping Runaway Railway. So the runaway winner is Runaway Railway. And just like that, we've made it to the semifinals. Now we've got a mixed bag of rides moving on in today's competition, from Mickey and Friends to Toy Story to Star Wars to even the Twilight Zone. I think it's safe to say the semifinal round is going to lead to some strong offensive and defensive plays, as well as some major upsets. All right, storytelling, check. Immersion, check. Amazing Imagineering, check. A must-see for many. Double, triple, quadruple, check. We've got Rise of the Resistance versus Tower of Terror. This is a very, very difficult matchup. All of these seem to be difficult matchups. How can we decide a winner in the battle of Rise versus Tower when both attractions do a fantastic job of ticking off all the best ride boxes? Well, let's go back to the must-see argument again. Disney rides might be made for families, but that doesn't mean they can't be scary. I think Rise of the Resistance and Tower both have issues with being potentially a little too intense for younger riders. Tower of Terror for, obvious ghost reasons and haunted cast member valets, and, like being dropped a bajillion times. But with Rise, you straight up get captured by the First Order, which can be a really intense moment during the pre-shows and leading up to the main ride, since the First Order is made up of real-life cast members that can be very intimidating. The First Order barking orders at all guests is part of the fun, but younger guests might still be nervous about this aspect of the ride before the ride, not really being able to tell what's real and what's not. That being said, Tower still tells a much more dismal story. Sure, I guess you survive the Twilight Zone, maybe, I can't speak for everyone, but during Rise of the Resistance, you'll become a hero for the cause, a much more exciting revelation for younger kids, especially for kids who are passionate about all things Star Wars. Again, the storytelling for these rides is impressive on both fronts, traumatizing or not, but Rise of the Resistance takes things one step further by stretching out the story through its multiple pre-shows and using animatronics, live actors, as well as breathtaking scenes like the Stormtrooper room reveal, to paint an adventure where the grand finale is a whole lot more satisfying to see unfold. With kids, you might feel inclined to skip Tower of Terror because of all the spooky elements that are less kooky and silly than you'll run into at Magic Kingdom's Haunted Mansion, but Rise of the Resistance is an experience that even kids who are initially terrified by it will more than likely fall in love with and want to go again after the big battle against good versus evil. Good luck, kids, because that line is really, really long. Winner, Rise of the Resistance. There's always one pair-off in each of these Disney World bracket videos that really amps up the drama in the DFB office, and this pairing in particular, Slinky versus Runaway, was a multi-day debate for the team. And even now, the winner we all came up with still shocks me to my core because I really didn't think it was going to turn out this way. As we've stated earlier, both Slinky and Runaway have some strong arguments backing them up. Runaway Railway uses updated technology in a groundbreaking Disney ride, the first ever to star Mickey, Minnie, and the rest of the Fab Five. But Slinky Dog Dash is great for all types of coaster riders, even for the younger folks and non-thrill seekers in your group. And the immersive theming that gives you an aerial look across the land shows off not just the impressive work of Disney Imagineering throughout the ride, but throughout the entire area. Plus, Wheezy serenades you at the end of this one if he's not broken, and he's got the pipes of an angel. A really baritone-sounding angel, but an angel regardless. I know I said earlier that I forgive Runaway Railway for replacing the Great Movie Ride, but there are still quite a few DFB folks behind the scenes harboring grudges against Mickey and Co. for replacing such an iconic Disney attraction, so the votes for them automatically defaulted to Slinky Dog just for the hurt feelings alone. And that goes for me as well, but beyond the salt on an open wound, we're choosing Slinky Dog as the winner for other reasons beyond simply spite. We've got a lot of Slinky Dog fans among the team, so several of our writers said that the fact that you can ride on the back of a giant Slinky Dog alone is enough of an argument to give this coaster the win. It might not have a queue with a lot of AC, but the theming of the oversized game boards is still a popular queue feature with the team as well, and listening to Slink go over the safety spiel in both English and Spanish is an absolute hoot, and I love it. Again, we all seem to be Slinky Dog fans here, but that doesn't make this any less of an upset. Winner, Slinky Dog Dash. Okay, so we are in the finals, and it is Rise of the Resistance versus Slinky Dog Dash. This is the final showdown. A showdown that'll determine once and for all which of these top tier attractions has earned the title of being the best ride in the park. Both of these Hollywood Studios experiences will have you clutching your ride seats in suspense. But if it's the plot you're after, then Rise of the Resistance is going to give you more of the drama and story elements. You're up against the First Order, ready to take on the cause, and you get captured. That's pretty stinking suspenseful if you ask me. But with Slinky Dog Dash, well, you're riding on the back of a spring-loaded dog. No rising climax, no plot twists, no dramatic conclusions, just dog. And you know what? Fine. That's good enough plot point for me. When you ride Slinky Dog once, you've pretty much got the gist of it. In a park where a lot of the rides change almost every time you get back on again, Slinky is a constant. The only major difference you might experience between Slinky Dog ride-throughs would be if you decided to ride this one during the day and then again at night. Because the vibes totally change once the sun sets. Slinky Dog's tracks suddenly light up and the coaster feels a whole lot faster. Meanwhile, over at Rise of the Resistance, there are technically two different ride-through possibilities you can experience based on if you're seated in the front or back ride vehicle. This gives Rise of the Resistance a little bit of the upper hand already. While we do prefer the front vehicle experience versus the back, both experiences for Rise are worth checking out because they give you a unique perspective of this ride. The way you experience Slinky Dog can also be determined by which row you're seated in. Those who sit toward the back just get a more thrilling experience, but they'll also get a clearer view of the entire ride. However, if you happen to be seated in the front row, which is normally the coveted row of a coaster, Slinky's big ol' head is going to block your front-facing view. But you can still give him scritches on the neck, which helps make up for it. There's something to be said, though, about a ride that makes a good chunk of the queue part of the overall ride experience. Slinky Dog has cute queue elements, but the majority of the line takes place in the sun, with no AC and no pre-show to look forward to. Plus, the line for this one gets really, really long, and you're gonna wish you just splurged on the multi-pass to avoid all the waiting and sweating. Meanwhile, Rise of the Resistance has a queue that's 95% indoors and has multiple pre-shows. Ray and BB-8 welcome you to the cause, Lieutenant Beck debriefs you on the mission at hand while you ride the Resistance Intersystem transport ship. Literally, this is a ride within a ride. Your ship is then hijacked by the First Order, you become a prisoner, you get to walk through the massive stormtrooper room, the Resistance will drop in and rescue you, and that's all before you even get onto the ride. Then, once the ride begins, you're looking at massive AT-ATs or AT-ATs, whatever you want, I don't care what you call them. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You've got realistic animatronics and back-to-back unexpected moments that are going to get your heart racing. Rise is more than a dark ride. It's a multi-part experience that really revolutionized Disney Imagineering and set the bar really high when it comes to our expectations for all new Disney attractions from here on out. Rise of the Resistance has proven itself worthy of being the best ride in Hollywood studios. Now I'm turning the conversation to you now. Do you think Rise deserved the winning title today? Up against Tower of Terror, up against Slinky Dog Dash, up against Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway? Or should a different ride in Hollywood studios have survived until the very end? Make your arguments in the comments below. Don't forget to pick up your free Hollywood Studios quick guide too right now over at disneyfoodblog.com/Hollywood Studios. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to go check out all of the other brackets where we decide the best ride in every single park. I think they're all done now, which is exciting. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.